Hello, everyone, and welcome to another live episode of Lead Like a CEO. So, as you all come in, say hello. It is Wednesday, so happy Wednesday. Please let me know where you're joining in from. Come on in, and today we're talking about mental resilience 360. I'm going to share three critical components of things that you can start doing or be aware of to make sure that you are consistently building that resilient mindset. So come on in, say hello. Hope you're having a great day. How's your week been going? And as you all come in, like I said, drop in the chat hello, but welcome. As you all come in, I'm going to introduce myself. If you're new here, welcome. Hashtag replay if you're watching this for the first time. And if you're new into my community, thank you. I appreciate you being here. But if you don't know who I am Shevvy Mac, and I'm a retired Air Force veteran after 22 plus years serving in the United States Air Force, the best. I just celebrated my 1 year anniversary yesterday of being fully retired from the military. So first year, Dan, I'll probably do an episode on the transition piece, in the sense of your mental, your overall life, how things, went for the first year, especially being in an organization for 22 plus years and being in a community and just kind of trying to find your path and your way as you start building your own, your own journey. So stay tuned for that episode. But yes, the 22 years in the United States Air Force, loved it. Yes, there were some challenges. And what I did in the Air Force, I was really in the field of people development, people morale. So I worked in, training and development was part of some things that I did. I've done hospitality management, which again, you're hosting people, large events. I've done lodging operations where you're bringing in individuals, family, again, support, and making sure that people have what they need. And oh, awesome. Thank you for joining me. Lovely Rochelle Queen. The Slay Queen is here, y'all. So thank you for joining me. And please let me know that you can hear me, ma'am. I just want to make sure I'm not just talking to myself. All right. So I did a lot of things. I've done, if you think of anything dealing with in the military, the morale and support of making sure individuals were mentally resilient in the sense of their fitness, their well-being, but also taking care of their loved ones as well too. And I got the opportunity to spend the last 4 years in developing leaders at all levels, whether that's a young individual in the military to civilian leaders to generals, through workshop training, facilitation and coaching as well too. But now what I do on this latter part of my journey is really focus on developing mission-driven businesses and organization, especially CEOs in the small business space, in the home care healthcare space, to really get their time back. And I do that by coming in and developing their team. So as the people development consultant, because people is always be my passion, is really focused on developing your team so your team can really execute on their own so that you can focus on other things. Okay, perfect. You can hear me. So this is what I do. And why did I decide to go into the home care space? I've shared this before, and I'm going to share this again because I want to make sure that you understand why I'm tapping into this space, because I've, said before, like, hey, I'm going to focus on this group of people, this group of businesses, but it always comes back to development of people. And I want to work with organizations and businesses that are mission driven, impacting the lives of others. And the home care part is significant to me because my mom, before she got sick, before she passed away, she spent over 10 years in that space as a home health aide. And I understand how the support that she provided to these family members that she served over the 10 plus years, but also the care that she received when she became sick and wasn't able to do certain things. So that is just part of me bringing that piece into my legacy of carrying on her legacy in a different way, in the sense of I'm coming in to develop your people so that you can optimize how they function, how they perform, their job satisfaction, their retention, so you can be more at ease and a little bit less stress, because we're going to talk about the mental resilience 360 and how important it is for us as individuals, as leaders, to make sure that we are resilient through all of the challenges, all of the chaos that occurs and happen unexpectedly, and how do we move forward. So yes, so that is what I do, and I bring this into mission driven businesses and organizations. So if there are any questions that you have as I'm speaking, please drop them in the comment. If you can relate to what I'm sharing, please drop like yes in there, because I definitely understand the challenges, because I'm going to share some of my stories as well too. So let's get started. So mental resilient 360. I have my notes, so I want to make sure I capture the important things that I want to share, because sometimes you can kind of go off a tangent. So today I'm going to share you 3 critical components to remain mentally resilient as you close out the year. So this is the last 3 months of 2024. And if I look back, oh, you are welcome, Queen. You are welcome. Thank you for being here. And as I look back at my time in the military, this is the beginning of the new fiscal year of 2024. And as a business owner, you're still operating on the 12 calendar year. So this is your last quarter of the year. And a lot of times what happened, and more likely is the same thing in the military, where it's like end of new fiscal year, guess what? Or end of fiscal year, which is September, that just happened 2 days ago. We're trying to get all the things done, all the buttons, everything buttoned up. And we're spending, and we are now planning to, like, how do we want to move forward for 2025, all the things. And a lot of it's high stress environment is happening during this time. So you might be going through the same thing right now. And you're probably thinking, okay, the year, I have 3 months left, and there's so much that you want to create, that you want to still happen for your business. But I want you to kind of really do a 360 of yourself, of your operation, to really look at, okay, how do I want to spend the next 3 months to where I don't burn out? Because we do have the holidays coming up. We do have, all the things. And this is a time where people, get a little bit more anxious. They get, depression comes on. So a lot of things that might be going on, loneliness. So it is so important for you to apply these 3 things that I'm going to share to make sure that you are mentally resilient. And it's not only for you. You can share with your family, with your team member, because how you show up in that space of your business or your organization, guess what? Your team is going to reflect. It's like they're going to mirror you. That's what neuroscience is. When the mirroring, it's like that person is reflecting exactly what you're doing. So look at the energy that you're bringing in. So that is the information that I'm going to share today. So, all right, where do I begin? So, like I said, we are under a lot of pressure. I know, as a mom of 3 and the youngest being 5, even just yesterday, I felt like, oh my goodness, this 5-year-old is high energy. My stress level is going up. And, I have a 14-year-old. I'm running a business. I have, appointments, that I have to go to. I just went to an appointment. I'm getting headaches. So look at all the things that you're doing and really identify, okay, how is that impacting your body? Because for me, it shows up, and you might be fatigued. These are signs. So we're going to talk about the signs very quickly. So let me, have you experienced this fatigue? You may feel isolated right now in your business because you feel like things are not going well. Your team is not performing how they should be. You keep having to repeat yourself. You keep putting out fires. You feel like you are in the business 24/7. Then you still have to go home and manage the home. You still got to go home and work on homework. You still got to go home, and there's probably someone texting you like, hey, this didn't happen, at the job. And you like, when do I get to disconnect? I've been there, because all these things that I'm sharing, irritability. Some days you may be irritable. When your kids say something, you're snapping. Trust me, some days I get like that, but I have to check myself. Okay. Also, negative self-talk. What are you saying to yourself? All of the things that I just shared these are signs that you are burnt out, or you are over that edge of where you're about to snap. Okay. So we have to look at how can we build our mental resilience to make sure that when these things are happening, when we feel the fatigue, when we feel the isolation, when we feel that our performance is not where it needs to be, when we feel like we don't have the energy to go and work out, the energy to do anything besides just go to work, come home, and start again. So we have to look at all of these are signs to say, hey, how can I tap into my resilience? Because we don't want to wait until things happen. We don't want to wait until all the chaos and all the life, think life things that happens to us, whether that's a death in the family, a death from an employee, a divorce, child, teenage drama, whatever that is. We want to make sure that we are mentally prepared. So having that 360 mental resilience is going to help you to get through those challenging times. It's going to help you to stop those self-talk that you may be having to yourself, like maybe you're not good enough or doubting yourself or the fear, whatever that is for you. And if you can resonate with what I'm sharing, maybe this has not happened to you now, but maybe you've experienced some of these things I'm sharing in the past, drop a like yes in the chat, because I know definitely I've experienced all of those things. Some days I'm tired. Some days I'm irritable because I'm ready to snap, because I'm like, I got these kids. I'm trying to do this, X, Y, and Z. So let me know in the chat. So as a business owner, how you show up every single day in your business determines how the outcome of production, not only for you, but also how your team performs. So these three critical components, and there's more, okay? But I want to share three with you, and I want you to, again, this is for you to build that resilient mindset, not only the next 3 months, but consistently. This is beyond the next 3 months, because we want to make that 360. Yes, Rochelle says she can relate. Yes, yes, with praise hands. Yeah, so the first thing that I want you, and this is critical, and I say this is critical because it's the acknowledgement, okay? And I'm saying, and I kind of talked about this before, is the acknowledgement, because as driven, ambitious individuals, especially if you are a woman, I'm talking to myself, we will feel the signs. We will feel the irritation. We will feel the fatigue, the mental fog. We will feel the isolation. But guess what? We're going to show up still. We're going to show up and perform as if we got our ish together, because I did that when I was going through these signs that I mentioned, some of these signs of fatigue, the irritation, the inability to sleep, the physical symptoms, the headaches, the pressure that I felt, my heart racing. I still kept showing up. I still kept being that mom. I still kept going to work, teaching 20, dealing with 26 students in the classroom, performing. But then after I left that classroom, guess what? I'm like, I feel like I'm going crazy. Late to the live. Oh, welcome, S Maxwell. Thank you for joining. It's all good. It's all good. So yes, acknowledging, because I did not acknowledge. Okay. And because I did not acknowledge a lot of the things that were happening in my body, I ended up in the ER. And I talked about this, and I'm actually going to be sharing more details about what happened in my forthcoming book, which is really focused on building that resilient individual. Okay, so that we can navigate life, we can navigate career, we can navigate business without losing ourselves. Because if you continue on the path of not acknowledging these symptoms that you are feeling and experiencing, it's going to lead to something more drastic than burnout. So this is why I'm sure we have to acknowledge. And too often, as driven business owners, individuals, we will be like, oh, I'll deal with it later. But don't be like me and end up in the ER with vertigo, anxiety, fear, all the things that you have to now work through over the years. So acknowledge where you're currently at in your business, but also outside of the business. That means looking in your home. What support do you have? What additional things are adding more stress to you that is causing you to have these symptoms? So acknowledge, acknowledge, and acknowledge. Be the person who acknowledge, like, hey, I need to put this on pause. I need support. I need assistance. I need X, Y, and Z, whatever that is for you. Because again, how you show up in your work environment and your home environment impacts the well-being of you, the well-being of your team, the well-being of your family, if you have a family or a significant other. So acknowledge, acknowledge, acknowledge. I'm going to drop acknowledge in the chat. Let me know. So this is 3 critical components to build that mental resilient 360 degrees, okay? Because when you do, you create that habit. So when things happens, when life is challenging you, that self-talk does not take over. And trust me, you don't want to get into that self-talk because it will take you down a rabbit hole you're scared, okay? Because I was getting there when I was going through my life challenges with the vertigo and all the things. And then I had to pull myself out of that as a person who was in the military, a mom, a educator, going to school, doing all the things. So again, acknowledge, yes, acknowledge, acknowledge, acknowledge. All right, so that is the first one. You want to make sure that you're acknowledged. And when we acknowledge is honestly, we're becoming self-aware. We're tapping into our emotional intelligence. Is really just tapping into our self-awareness. Because when we are self-aware, we do better. We start thinking better and we start taking action. Okay. So the second critical thing is stress management. Woo. Stress management. When I was on active duty, and some days, y'all, I am so stressed because guess what? Some days I catch myself trying to do it all. Trying to be the mom. Okay, we got swim. I got this to do. I got this networking event. I had, this client. I got to send this email. I got this doctor appointment. There's those stressors. And stress is good to a certain degree. But if you are consistently under high stress, then you are impacting your mental resilience. Okay. So when it comes to your stress management, don't put it off for tomorrow. Don't say, you know what? I'll wait until the weekend to reset myself. Make it a priority today. Because if I look back on my journey of being in the military, yes, wellness was a priority, but outside of the mandatory items that we had to do to pass our physical yearly, was I consistently active? No, because I was a slim person. I didn't eat crazy, still ate, pretty healthy and so forth, but I did not make it my priority until I ended up in the ER and started making sure that I took care of myself because I kept taking care of everybody. The husband at the time, the kids, the home, my military career, making sure the students are good to go. But again, in the military, we're dealing with high stress. Whether you're in a combat environment, whether you are here local, you are dealing with high stress. You might be dealing with high stress right now because you're looking at maybe you haven't met your goals for 2024 yet. And you're questioning yourself, okay, am I able to do X, Y, and Z? Why is my team not performing? Because again, finance, there's a lot of different things that may be impacting your stress level. You have to look at how can I start managing my how can I start managing my stress right now? So you have to make it a priority. And I did some research last night, and the American Institute of, it was Lori, I believe it was like Lori, I forgot the name. And they stated that 120,000 people die every year from stress, from stress due to work. So that's 120 people die every year as a result of work-related stress. That's based on their statistic. And this month is also mental wellness month. Okay. So when it comes to stress management, like you have to look at, okay, how can I apply stress management in your work and life? Because they go together. I know people say there's no work-life balance, but honestly, you have to create that balance, whatever that looks like for you. Maybe some days, okay, I'm going to work late, but after 5, guess what? I'm off the clock. I didn't get to work out today or all week, but guess what? I'm going to get up early on Saturday to work out before I start entertaining the kids or the family, because you need to make yourself a priority. Because when you're able to enhance and reduce your stress, guess what? Your quality of life. And you're, again, setting the example for your team members. Because now when they see you making it a priority, now they're going to make it a priority, which impacts their mental resilience, your mental resilience. So when things do happen within your business, they know how to respond, and they know how to respond calmly, not for that, frazzle and freaking out, but they know how to approach situations and resolve them in a more effective manner. Okay. So simple things that you can do. Like I already said, stop working at a specific time, which again, this, but you don't do it, but you need that reminder to implement. Add it to your calendar. Because when you reduce, I was just talking to a friend today, and my friend mentioned that due to the fact they're now actively working out, their stress level has gone down. For me, same thing. When I was going through my challenges with anxiety and vertigo, implementing exercises, running different things drastically reduced my stress, my anxiety. It increased my energy. So again, these are critical things that are simple, but are important for us to do every single day, because it's about building that mental resilience every single day. And what I'm going to be doing coming up this month, I'm going to be hosting a workshop. And this workshop is really going to focus on building your resilient team, because as the leader, you have to be that resilient leader, and you want to build that resilient team, because now you want to make sure that your team can be able to perform and execute in any environment that they are a part of, whether that's a stressful environment or a low stress environment. So stay tuned for that. So that's the workshop that I'm going to be working on. So let me know if it's something that you're interested in. I would love to get a few people in there, at least 20 people, but it's really going to focus on helping you to build your resilient team, but also help you to become that resilient leader. And this workshop is really going to allow you to enhance your team performance, your team culture, and also the retention of your team, because you're going to have the tools to make sure that your team and you yourself is able to operate in your business through the chaos that happens in life, whatever that is, and be able to be resilient and move through that without losing, firing people, and all the things. Okay. So stress management was number 2, the 3 critical components of building that resilient mind, building that mental resilient 360 is, acknowledging and making sure that when it comes to your stress management, you have a plan in place. All right. Let me know if you're still with me. Drop a yes. All right. And then the last thing is to adaptability. Awesome. Thank you, Queen. Yes, Queen is still here. So the last thing that I want to talk about when it comes to building that resilient mind 365 days a year is adaptability. So being in the military, like we, depending on your job, like we were trained to be able to adapt into any situations or any environment, because we signed on the dotted line to say, hey, we are willing to give our lives up for our country. So whatever was going on, we couldn't say, well, you know what? I ain't doing it. Guess what? When things happened, we adjusted and we executed. And then we debrief. But we had to be ready no matter the situation. So when it comes to your business, and as you think about the next 3 months and beyond, and the things that are happening now, but also the things that will come that you have no clue they're coming, you have to learn how do you adapt to these situations and still remain calm under these difficult circumstances without freaking out on your team, without yelling, without cussing at your team, because X happened, or your team did X to cause cause X, Y, and Z. Yes, it's about responding and being able to adapt. So when it comes to adaptability, you want to make sure that you cultivate a flexible mindset. Okay. So when challenging things does occur, you know how to respond. And this taps into the self-management of emotional intelligence. Because when you have that flexible mindset, we have different levels of emotions depending on what's going on, depending on who we're speaking with or to. So being able to adapt to your situation is going to be critical to building that resilient mindset. Also, making sure that you don't become consumed with holding on to situations, like holding on to the negative things. So looking at, okay, what is going on in this environment right now within my business? How can I look at this situation? Yes, it's tough. Yes, it's difficult, but how can I make the decision to move forward? How can I come to a resolution? Because we can't stay in the place. And sometimes as individuals, as business owners, we want to just hold on. Well, this is not happening. I wish I would have done this. That time has passed. So how do we adapt and move forward? What solution are we coming up with now? So if there are things happening in your business now, and like, okay, I would love to change these things and I feel burnt out, what do you need to do? Maybe bringing in someone like me or bringing in another person and say, hey, help me get to a solution to X. Or looking at your team to be like, okay, who on my team who is not overloaded already? Because again, you want to make sure, can your team members, are they able to adapt as well too? Okay. So like I said, when it comes to building a resilient mind, 365 days a year, you have to acknowledge what's going on. You have to know how to manage your stress by implementing stress management. And part of that stress management is saying no. And sometimes I have to say no because I'm like, I'm getting a headache. That's for me, that's an indication, okay, girl, I'm gonna need you to pause because you're stressed. When my head starts to hurt, that means that's an indication of stress. And adaptability, being able to adapt to what is going on in your business, no matter the circumstance, no matter the people. And the same for your people. Your people should be able to do all those three things as well, because when you are able to do these three things, you're able to perform better, make better decisions, lead better. Your team feel like, okay, they know how to navigate in your business without freaking out, without calling on you to fix or get the solution. They know how to move forward and get the solution themselves because they acknowledge what's going on. They're managing their stress, but also they're able to adapt and course correct. Okay. So any questions? It's all about building that mental resilient, because we can get into that negative self-talk as individuals, and it can lead us down to a rabbit hole, y'all, to where it takes us into anxiety, fear, depression. So we want to make sure that we are consistently being resilient. And I'm sharing more, of what I did in my upcoming book, which will be released November 1st, of how I use my mindset to overcome the negative self-talk, the fear. Because at one point, y'all, I was at the point where I didn't want to get into my vehicle to drive, but I had to build that resilient mindset to say, we're going to go. We're going to get into this vehicle. And I am so happy that I did, because looking back, I was paralyzing myself. My quality of life. So really look at your current situation. What stress management tools do you have in place, and how you're adapting? Because you don't want to wait until something happens to be, I need to go through this resilient. No, you want to start building your resilient every single day. You want to build that resilient mindset. All right. Any questions? Thank you all so much for joining me today on the Lead Like a CEO show. Hopefully you're able to take away one thing, or if you weren't able to take away something, at least you were reminded to say like, hey, I need to make sure that I am making myself the priority so I can show up as my best for me, for for your family, and for your business and your team members as well too. All right. So if you are a home care, healthcare business and you're like, hey, I would love for you to come in and develop my team so I can spend more time outside of the business, I can grow the business, then reach out to me. If you are an organization and you're like, hey, we need to develop our people because we are losing our people, retention has gone down, and you would love to see the job satisfaction increase. You want to love to see their performance increase, but also love to see that the retention increase. As an organization, definitely reach out to me to find out more about how I can support you. And I want to say thank you all for joining me, and I will be here next Wednesday. And again, build that resilient mindset. Okay. This is Shevvy, your people development consultant, which is all about developing your people to thrive and succeed in their role. And also you as the leader to thrive in your role as well as a leader so that you can get your time back and focus on the growth of your business/organization. All right, y'all. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you all next week.